Hello everyone, welcome to this brand new series on ASP.NET MVC from beginner to advanced. I'm Manoj and in this video we'll start right from the basics and understand what ASP.NET MVC is, how it works and why it is so popular among .NET developers. So by the end of this video you will clearly understand what MVC means, the flow of an MVC application, how MVC is different from traditional ASP.NET web forms. So let's get started. So what is ASP.NET MVC? ASP.NET MVC stands for Model View Controller. It is a framework by Microsoft used to build modern, scalable, and maintainable web applications. Before ASP.NET MVC, most developers used ASP.NET Web Forms, which tightly coupled your business logic, UI, and event handling, making large applications difficult to manage. But on ASP.NET MVC, on the other hand, separates your application into three main components. What are three main components? Those are model, view, controller. So model is nothing but it represents your data and business logic. View, it handles UI and presentation. Controller, it manages user input and coordinates between model and view, and it also provides a clean separation of concerns and supports test-driven development (TDD). So here is the diagram. So the MVC pattern divides the application into three interconnected parts. So model, view, controller, all are interconnected, right? They cannot behave differently. They cannot behave independently, right? They are interconnected. So model, as I mentioned, business logic and data. The view is our presentation and UI part. Controller, it request handling and response coordination. Now, what is a model? So model is nothing but a class collection of your properties. In our case, if you see this particular class called student, so we have ID, name and age. So these are properties and it represents a table or a data structure that holds student information. All right. Second, that is view. View is responsible for displaying the data to the user, to the end user who is using your application. In MVC, views are typically .cs HTML files and that use Razor syntax to mix your HTML and C# code. Meaning, using Razor syntax, you can write your C# code on your HTML. If you see here, we have a model at the top, at that model student. Student is nothing but your student class. In that we have ID, name and age. If you see here, so we have model.id, model.name and model.age. So here if you see, this paragraph is a HTML tag. Within that we are using our C# properties directly. Now let's go to the controller part. The controller handles user input and the interactions. It receives the request from the browser, it calls the model and returns the appropriate view. So in our case, if you see, we have a controller called student. Within that, we have a details view, and here the details method creates a student object and sends it to the details.cshtml view. All right. So this is how our student controller works. So this is a very simple and basic example. In a later part of videos, we'll use complex controllers and complex views. All right. Now, how request flows in MVC. So let's understand how everything works together. So user sends a request, a particular URL, let's say student/details. So let's assume this is our URL. Now the request goes to the controller, that is student controller, and the controller talks to the model to fetch or create the data. Fetch means we are using our get request, create means we are using our post request. All right, don't worry, we'll cover all the HTTP verbs in our later part of the videos in this series. Now then it sends data to the view, the UI part, and finally view displays the data to the end user. So the complete flow is request comes, then it goes to the controller, then it goes to the model, then it goes to the view, and finally user sees the response. All right, now why we should choose MVC? So there are some advantages of your MVC. Why developers prefer your model view controller approach? First of all, the main advantage is it separates the concern, meaning it is very easy to maintain and scale your application. Another factor is it supports test driven development, the TDD, and it also provide clean URL routing. So we'll also cover the complete detailed routing concept in the later videos. And it is also easy to integrate the other JavaScript frameworks like Angular, React, or jQuery within your MVC part. All right, so in short, MVC makes your web applications organized, powerful, and future ready. If you see, we have some small comparison between our ASP.NET MVC application versus ASP.NET Web Forms. So the feature comparison, if you see on your screen, so web forms, they are event driven. They use view state, and they are tightly coupled code. Means the front end and the back end both are tightly coupled. You cannot use individual part as we can use in our MVC. So again, MVC on the other hand, it is lightweight, no use view state, it is a clean separation of concerns, and it is very easy to do your unit testing, and you can write easily your unit test cases as well. It is very easy to maintain your application. Now if you see your summary within this video, what is MVC? MVC is model view controller. Model is nothing but your data and logic. View, it is your presentation, it is your UI. Controller, it handles user request. And MVC architecture gives you a clean structure, reusability, and testability. So this is about today's video. In the next video, we'll try to install Visual Studio and create our first ASP.NET MVC project from scratch. So make sure you don't miss that. So if you find this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below on what topics you want me to cover in this series. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.